So, touching on some of the energies that we've been navigating in 2023, having Pluto enter Aquarius, this, depending on where you have Aquarius in your birth chart, Pluto entering Aquarius. Now, Pluto is a generational planet, it's a generational energy. Whenever Pluto re-enters a new sign, it's a pretty big deal because Pluto is the slowest moving planet. Aquarius, ruling the collective and humanity and the people and technology, innovations. Aquarius also being ruled by Uranus, co-ruled by Saturn traditionally, this is going to be a really big energy shift. Now, Pluto has been in Capricorn for 15 years. So if you think back, what has really changed for you the last 15 years, especially in the Capricorn area of your life, of your chart? Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So where we still have this, we're still going to have this kind of Saturnian energy because Saturn traditionally rules Aquarius. Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius, really shifting that energy up. I mean, this is going to be, Pluto in Aquarius is really going to be a time of innovations, changes to technology, changes to how we connect to one another. Check out my Pluto in Aquarius video. I've talked a lot about this. I posted it months ago. But, if you think back to between March and June of 2023, we had Pluto in Aquarius. What showed up for you during that time period? We're really going to get a taste of what Pluto in Aquarius is going to bring us February of 2024 because we have all the inner planets making conjunctions to Pluto in Aquarius. So and I talked about this in the Rising Sign Horoscopes and in the collective forecast where February of 2024, we really want to be paying attention to what is showing up because that is when we really get a feel for what this Pluto in Aquarius energy is going to feel like. Now, I also want to touch on Saturn and Pisces. Saturn entered Pisces back in March and is going to stay in Pisces until 2025. Now, Saturn just stationed direct in Pisces the beginning of November. So, what has shown up for you since March, again, in the Pisces area of your chart? Saturn wants us, and this is such an interesting energy because Pisces is the most mutable sign of the zodiac. Pisces is a mutable water sign, which rules, water, spirituality, energy, can also rule gases. If we think of kind of some of the things that happened this year around water, the ocean, the submarine, the train derailments in Palestine, I think it was, with the toxins in the water, that is such a Saturn and Pisces thing. We can see more of this with Saturn and Pisces. But in your own individual life, Saturn wants you to become accountable for your energy, accountable for yourself. And it's also very karmic and brings life lessons. So where Saturn's transiting your chart, you know that over the next between now and 2025, there's bound to be some type of life lesson coming up in this area of life. It's just what Saturn does. And so if you have Pisces in the seventh house, like me, becoming aware of your shit, where you can get in your own way, where you can create things within relationships, your own toxic behaviors and patterns. This is something that I am realizing with Saturn and Pisces in my seventh house. I was always so quick before I got into astrology and, became very spiritual and didn't have that self-awareness. It was always like, that person needs to change. That person needs to change. You. And I never looked at myself. Well, Saturn entering my seventh house this year in Pisces is having me become accountable of my own toxic behaviors, especially in relationships, my own self-undoing behaviors and patterns. And I'm going to talk more on self-undoing and self-sabotaging in the 12th house because this is something I know a lot of firsthand. I'll be making more content on this. But, just talking about the Saturn energy, this is where we can become more responsible for ourselves, maybe more responsible for others in our life, or more responsible for other elements and aspects of our life. This is where we need to take a look at our personal boundaries because Saturn represents boundaries as well. Personal boundaries between you and other people, or just boundaries within areas of your life. This is where, karmic energy can arise because Saturn also represents karma and karmic energy. So having Saturn in Pisces, thinking back to March to now, what you were navigating in this area of life, what have you become aware of? What have you started to take accountability for? Is there any new responsibilities in this area of life? You can expect more of that between now in 2025, more lessons. And they don't necessarily have to be, huge, drastic changes, but they are, having you become more accountable for where you can mess up in your life, where you're responsible for the changes and the conflict or the, whatever the case is that you're creating. Even in work, right? And within your work environment, maybe where you have to become more responsible within your job or holding on to a job, or, where you can get in your own way, maybe not thinking you're good enough for a certain job. This is all part of that energy. We also had Venus retrograde in Leo this year. And this, again, adding to this accountability and responsibility energy, but really showing you where you lack self-worth, self-confidence. Leo has to do with our self-confidence. Leo has to do with our creativity, our passion, romance. And this can be where you've blocked yourself due to a lack of self-worth, a lack of self-love, a lack of self-confidence. And you may have really become aware of that, in the summer during, between, we'll probably say July to September, because Venus stationed direct October, I think it was. Oh, no. Stationed direct in September, but moved out of Leo in October. But this is energy we were navigating for a few months. And then once we get to the end of 2024, which I talked about in my forecast, we're going to have Mars retrograde in Cancer and Leo. And that is going to be another huge energy to navigate. And especially, and another thing too, when we're talking about these planets, you want to know what their relationship is for you specifically. What does Mars mean for you? What do I mean by this? So I'll use myself as a perfect example. Mars is in Leo in my 12th house. Mars can bring self-undoing and self-sabotaging tendencies, behaviors, and patterns to me during certain transits. Where for you, maybe Mars rules motivation. Maybe Mars is in let's say your 5th house of romance, creativity. During a Mars transit, you can be extra motivated around creativity, around romance, around children. You want to know what Mars energy means for you. And this is really a thing. This is something I've been tracking for some time now. When you have certain transits, or when these planets are doing certain things in the sky, it's going to show up for all of us differently depending on your relationship with that planet. What does that planet mean for you? You also want to know if you have Saturn or Mars as your most malefic planet. If you have a day chart, Mars is your most malefic planet, meaning that Mars transits are going to be a lot more difficult and challenging. If you have a night chart, Saturn is your most malefic planet. So Saturn transits are going to be a lot more restrictive and challenging and can bring hardship for you to navigate and harder life lessons to move through. I know this is, I am touching on the energies of the year, but this is also kind of just an astrology chit chat. I hope you guys enjoy this. I'm kind of just going with the flow. But that's we've been navigating this energy. 2024 is going to be 2023 amped up. It's really preparing us for 2025 and beyond. By the time we get to 2026, our world looks completely different. Having the nodes in Aries and Libra, just to touch on that for a second, Mars is the ruler of Aries. We have the North Node in Aries. I talked a lot about how at the beginning of 2023, when I created my node, or my nodes in Aries and Libra forecast, I talked a lot about the North Node being in Aries can amp up war, can amp up conflict, aggression. It's all the Mars energy, right? And we have seen more of that, and we will see more of that in 2023. I don't want to sugarcoat anything or, make everything rainbows and butterflies. If that's not what it is, that's not my job as an astrologer. My job is to tell you what I see, what I feel from the astrology, and just be honest about that. And 2024 is we're definitely going to see more of that, especially too with the eclipse, April 8th, the solar eclipse in Aries that we're having, which is going to be the next eclipse that is going to go right through Texas of the United States. And we're going to see a lot around elections, in 2024 for the United States. We're going to see a lot around conflict with the United States. And It just kind of shows in the astrology. Civil war can be a thing. So we do want to be mindful of that. We want to have that awareness. Now, in our own individual lives, I've talked a lot about the North Node being in Aries, being this journey of self-development and personal growth and figuring out who you are on a personal level, because Aries represents the self. So we can all be going through this personal growth journey at this time with the North Node in Aries, with the South Node in Libra, really becoming aware of the people in your life that are no longer in alignment, or having old relationships come back into your life, because the South Node can bring things or people back from the past. The South Node also represents where we are releasing and letting go of something or someone. Libra, having an association with relationships and one-on-one connections, this can be a time where we are letting go of people in our life that are no longer in alignment, or reconnecting with individuals in our life. And so that's a lot of what we're navigating. And we'll be reconnecting with people. And I even just got twin flame connections. And I say twin flame very lightly, because my idea of twin flame isn't the idea that you kind of see on the internet. But when you have these karmic relationships come into your life to stir things up, to bring things out within you, they tend to be very toxic and bring life lessons, but it has you becoming aware of certain parts of yourself for personal growth purposes, for spiritual growth. And after that relationship, you tend to grow internally and spiritually on so many levels. And if it's meant to be, and you both do the work and grow together, you do reconnect. And that can also be a part of this South Node in Libra energy, the nodes being very faded, very karmic energy, and having a lot of those karmic partnerships coming back together can be a part of that. South Node in Libra, but also North Node in Aries, because as long as you're doing that work on yourself, then you're able to reconnect and grow together. But it really does require you both to do the work. And so that's another thing I'm feeling with the nodes in Aries and Libra that we will continue to navigate into 2024. Now, another energy I want to touch on is Jupiter and Taurus. So we've had Jupiter and Taurus since May of 2023. Now, Taurus can rule money, finances, banking, and I did already touch on this in some of my other forecasts, but we will see, more around that, especially coming into the new year, because Jupiter's going to station direct, on December 30th or 31st, depending on your time zone. And once we get into the new year, Jupiter's moving forward and is going to travel through Taurus between January and May. Yeah, May 25th. Jupiter is going to enter Gemini May 25th, 2024. So it's only for that first bit of 2024, we have Jupiter and Taurus, and this is bringing, huge growth financially. Taurus is an earth sign. Taurus represents comfort, stability, money, finances, livelihood. This is an amazing time to grow and really build foundations that can be solid, ground that in. And when Jupiter enters Gemini, we're talking about a whole different energy. Gemini is a very quick moving energy. It is an air sign. It is a mutable air sign. So it's got a lot going on, and we're amping up. I mean, we're going to be bombarded with information once Jupiter enters Gemini. We're going to be hearing everything, and we're not going to know what's true, what's not true, like I'm talking about on social media and news and stuff. We're going to have so much information thrown at us that if you don't have that discernment, it's going to be very difficult to almost feel grounded and even have a grasp on reality, if that makes sense. And so, it's very important with Jupiter and Taurus to become very grounded, very what's the word I'm looking for? Solid in who you are. And it's not even solid in who you are, but I can't think of the word right now. Hopefully, just very grounded is what I'm trying to say, but there's something else I'm trying to say and I can't get the words out. This is my Saturn square to Mercury in my 12th house. Yeah, communication's not my strong suit. But anyways, so now let's get into the energies for this month. So I'm recording this December 16th, probably going to upload this as soon as I'm done. So at the time of me recording this, we've got the sun square to Neptune. Now I'm doing this because I've kind of taken a break the last few weeks from the weekly forecast, which I will be posting again once we get into 2024. The last few weeks been, I've gone to record my weekly forecast and I I've felt a block, and so I didn't want to push it. I just kind of was like, okay, the universe is sitting me out from this for some reason. Maybe there's something I need to readjust or reevaluate with this Mercury retrograding Capricorn, taking a look at my business and my work and making changes. And so I will still be doing the weekly forecast because I love to give you and I want to give you all updates on the weekly energies because this can help you navigate the weekly energies and kind of know what you're coming into. But I may post them on Wednesdays because Wednesdays are associated with Mercury ruling communication, or do you prefer them on Sunday so you can get a heads up for the week ahead? Let me know. I might keep them on Sunday or Wednesday, but let me know in the comments below. But a lot of the energy that we've been moving through right now is just navigating. I mean, there's been a lot of triggers, a lot of activations and things in our own personal life, parts of ourself that we were not aware of, becoming aware of those parts of ourself, whether it's, a lot of this Neptune energy where we can escape, where we can self-undo, where we can get in our own way. We've had Mercury connecting to Neptune. We're bringing, creating scenarios and experiences in or scenarios in our head or overthinking and then self-undoing or self-sabotaging, not having that self-confidence, not being able to move forward with something because of the lack of knowing, if that makes sense, the confusion, the illusion that Neptune can bring. And we really have to be careful with this. On December 6th, we had Neptune stationing direct, and Neptune can bring, this confusing energy and it's self-sabotaging, but it's so easy to escape right now. And that's what we really need to be cautious of and aware of. Neptune ruling escapism. And if you're navigating anything that can be challenging because mental health is, at its peak, there's a lot of manic energy. And I've been saying this for the last month, but there is, a lot of manic energy. And you don't want to be escaping right now or falling into any self-undoing behaviors like addiction, or anything like that, because this can be energy where, over the next few weeks, there's going to be a lot showing up. You have to have that self-awareness and, do what it is that you do, whether it's meditating, whether it's working out, whatever you need to do to release that negative energy within and to clear your mind is going to be needed. Now, on the 20th, well, this is another energy I actually want to talk about too, because on the 20th, Venus is going to form an opposition to Uranus. But Venus being in Scorpio, it's having us really become aware of those deep inner parts of ourself that do hold us back. Venus ruling what we need, want, and desire. Scorpio being, excuse me. Oh my goodness. Scorpio really being able to get to the bottom of, what is beneath the surface. This is where we can really become aware of, those parts of ourselves where we can almost become very obsessive, very compulsive, very even those parts of ourselves that are very secretive that nobody knows about, that's Scorpio. And Venus being in Scorpio, Venus doesn't do the greatest on Scorpio, but this is just where we can really be becoming aware of certain parts of ourself that get in our own way or that can be toxic, especially within relationships, especially towards ourselves, where we lack that self-confidence or where we lack, that self-worth, self-love. Why? Why is that? Venus and Scorpio can be bringing that to the surface for you, which is adding to, all that Neptune energy of then escaping, of then, self-undoing. And so we want to be very careful of, everything that is bubbling up right now. Once we get into January, there's a lot of energy shifts. We've got Pluto re-entering Aquarius January 20th, which is going to be huge. And between now and then, there's a lot that's going to be showing up a lot of changes that we're moving through individually and collectively, and you want to make sure that you're taking care of your energy, that you're doing what you need, you're keeping your vibration high. And, whether it's doing yoga or working out or drinking water or earthing or grounding in whatever way you do, maybe juicing, eating or drinking a lot of rooted vegetables, whatever it is that you do to ground yourself and to take care of your energy, you definitely need to be focusing on that right now. This is not a time to be escaping or falling into old patterns, old habits that are easy, that are known, that are comfortable. We don't want to be doing that right now, and we want to be cautious of that. Now, when we have on the 20th Venus opposing Uranus, this is where something can come to the surface. Something can be shaken up here. This could be within relationships, something that's triggering your self-confidence, your self-worth, that's shaking you out of your comfort zone. Venus is still in Scorpio. So this is something very deep coming to the surface. But it's all for personal growth. And keep that in mind. Uranus is the great awakener. So where Uranus can shake things up and make things a little bit challenging because these things tend to be disruptive and a little chaotic and out of the blue, this really is to awaken us to something else or another part of ourselves that we need to heal in order to grow, or that we need to work on in order to grow. And this could be a part of this, Venus opposition to Uranus energy on the 20th, where something's activated that you're having to navigate, that you're having to move through around self-love, self-worth, self-confidence. This could also be, maybe a loved one. I feel like, yeah, a loved one, a relationship, maybe something around a relationship coming up. And this kind of just came to me intuitively. Something around a relationship that was really challenging and difficult to deal with in the past, but there's new energy around this because you have new eyes. You're looking at it in a different way. So that can be very beautiful, but you have to have that awareness to see that and that discernment. Like, you have to have the awareness to see these things when they come in. So I always talk about self-awareness, but it's so important. It's so important to have that self-awareness and discernment. Now, on the 21st, we will have the sun entering Capricorn. So we start Capricorn season. And then on the 22nd, we're going to have the Mercury cazimi. So now let's touch on the Mercury retrograde energy for a little bit, because on the 22nd, when we have the Mercury cazimi, this is when beautiful supportive energy comes in, whether it's insight or a message or information, excuse me, or information to help guide you through this Mercury retrograde energy. So Mercury, retrograding at 8 degrees of stationing retrograde at 8 degrees of Capricorn, moving back to 22 degrees of Sagittarius. There's a lot that we are looking at around belief systems, and I kind of touched on this already, old belief systems that are no longer in alignment with you, belief systems that were holding you back in some way, whatever you're navigating around that, or even in the Capricorn Sagittarius areas of your life, whatever you're reevaluating in those areas of life, there's beautiful insight coming in. Something's going to click on the 22nd. So pay attention to your intuitive downloads, what you're feeling, what is coming in for you, your thoughts, when you're driving and your mind, and when you're driving or you're just kind of in this, it's almost like a meditative state and you have thoughts kind of coming in, paying attention to that, having that awareness, because there could be something very beautiful showing up for you. Now, on the 26th, we will have the full moon in Cancer. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I will be posting a full moon in Cancer forecast going into all 12 rising signs. But Cancer rules home and family. Cancer is also very emotional energy. So emotions are very heightened on our full moons in Cancer, which we get one a year. We get one full moon in Cancer a year. And the moon is the ruler of Cancer. So this is a very intense, emotionally heightened, intuitive energy. And this can be, where emotions are very heightened. And because of all the Neptune energy, we don't want to be emotionally reacting or responding based on just what is coming to us instantaneously. We have to be, sitting with energies, not just reacting, based on emotions. I hope that makes sense. But it's like instantaneously, like you don't want to be reacting right away. Like sit with it for a minute, meditate on it, take a minute to sit with the energies. And again, this can also have to do with old childhood traumas coming back because it's Cancer, which rules childhood, family, home. There could be changes within your home. There could be changes within your family dynamic that's taking place. And I will touch more on this full moon in Cancer. I don't want to get too much into it because I will post a whole video plus get into the chart because the other energies are very important with this full moon and also add to the energy. And then on the 27th, we have Mercury forming a conjunction to Mars. We also have a Mercury Mars conjunction in January. January? Yeah, I'm pretty sure January. After Mercury stations direct on January 1st. Now, when we have Mercury Mars conjunction, that's our communication. This can bring arguments, conflict, fights. This can have us, speaking before we think about what we're saying. We can react and respond very quickly without kind of processing what's going on. So we do want to be mindful of that as well, come the end of the month, the 27th and the 28th and the 29th. So the 27th, we have the Mercury Mars conjunction. Then on the 28th, we're going to have Mars square Neptune. Again, still in this Neptune energy things. And that's where Mercury is forming a conjunction to Mars, but there's the square to Neptune. So we are reacting. There's a reaction to something where we don't have all the information. We don't know what's going on yet, where there's confusion. So we really want to be mindful at this time. And I'll talk more about this probably too, because this is a really big energy. At the same time, we'll have the moon opposing Pluto, and we're going to have a Venus sextile to Pluto. And then Venus is going to enter Sagittarius. So Venus is still in Scorpio. So the 28th, the 27th, 28th, and 29th, we really want to have that self-awareness. We want to make sure that we're not even just like reacting and responding because of our low self-confidence or self-worth or self-love or self-undoing behaviors. And it's going to be where we're overthinking something. We're creating something in our head and we're responding and reacting based on what we think a situation is or an experience. Um, and it's not going to be clear. It's not going to be correct. We can be arguing with people where each person thinks their side is correct, but nobody has all the information yet. Things are not clear. There's a lot of confusion because of that square to Neptune. Neptune very much at play. So we do want to be mindful at this time as well. Just, sitting with the energies, not reacting, not responding based on just feelings and emotions, right? Because again, it's the same week as that full moon in Cancer. So we want to be mindful of that, especially with the Venus sextile to Pluto, which is interesting because it's like if you have the ability to have that self-awareness and really go within and do the work on yourself and figure out, why am I feeling this way right now? Why is this coming up for me? There's this beautiful element of transformation and growth with Pluto. It's like a death and rebirth process. It's like you're dying in some way, whether it is an old version of yourself. An old version of yourself is kind of fading away, and there's this rebirth of this new energy. Venus being at the last degrees of Scorpio too. So it's almost like you're finished with something. You're done with this journey of, why you get so down on yourself with things, why you have low self-confidence, low self-worth, which can be really beautiful, really, really beautiful when you have that self-awareness to make those changes. So we want to be mindful of that. And then on the 29th, we will have Venus entering Sagittarius. And I will talk on that at this point. Venus is going to enter Sagittarius, and then a day or two later, we have Jupiter stationing direct. So that's going to be really beautiful because Sagittarius season didn't feel the same. We had Jupiter retrograde. So coming into the new year, we have a lot of energy shifts, which really, it's like December and end of November has been a month of just moving through moving through what you've already done, what you've accomplished, what you've accumulated, discovering other parts of yourself that you still need to work on in order to grow in 2024, becoming aware of parts of yourself that can still be self-undoing, self-sabotaging, having low self-worth, self-confidence, getting in your own way. That's what Neptune's activating. That's what Venus and Scorpio is activating too. And we have to be careful with Venus and Scorpio too of obsessive and compulsive behavior years because very much could be that energy. But Venus in Scorpio is great for research. Mercury in Scorpio is great for research. Watch some detective shows, watch some murder documentaries. That's great for Venus or Mercury in Scorpio. Anyways, I just wanted to do this kind of little update because I haven't done a weekly forecast in a few weeks, and I will be posting it again. I'm just like everyone else, I've had activations and triggers in my own personal life that I've been navigating, figuring things out about myself, my own toxic traits and behaviors. I have a lot of 12th house energy. Mars for me can bring in a lot of self-undoing and self-defeating habits and behaviors. I'm an astrologer, so I can see and understand what these things show. And that's why I like to talk to you guys about this. And I'm going to focus a lot on 12th house energy. Like coming into the new year, I would like to make a lot of content on the 12th house and in conjunctions. This is something I know firsthand. I have a lot of this in my chart. And I say to, my family members, friends, and clients that I would not know these parts of myself and have that self-awareness and be able to heal these parts of myself without knowing my birth chart. And that is the information and the guidance I want to provide to others is, the self-defeating habits that you may have. What are they in your chart? How do we heal them? Because you can always heal them. And don't ever tell an astrologer that you're doomed because you have, a certain aspect or whatever in your chart, because it's just not the case. There's always ways to mitigate this energy. And I love figuring out what those ways are. And so I will be posting more come 2024 on, 12th house energy and how to overcome difficult energy in the birth chart, how to heal. And also, my astrological knowledge is always growing as well. I'm always wanting to learn more. Like recently, I've been studying medical astrology, and I'm always kind of expanding my knowledge on astrology to help you all more. So yeah, these are some things I just have in mind for 2024, but I wanted to come on here and connect with you all like this. I don't really come on here much like this. I usually am behind the scenes. Again, 12th house energy, like to do things behind the scenes. Um, but yeah, I wanted to come on here and say, yes, I will be, doing the weekly forecasts again. Let me know in the comments below if you still want them on Sundays or on Wednesdays. But I did want to touch on some of the December energies because I haven't been doing the weekly forecasts. So I hope this helps you all navigate the energy for the rest of the year. I would love to hear your feedback in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you align with my energy. And I will connect with you all in the next one. And do you like it when I connect with you all like this, or do you prefer the kind of audio? Let me know in the comments below.